important for us to, observe this?
Yes, I think for so many reasons,
Yeah.
especially as Africans, although I wasn't raised here. I grew up in an African family still, and I know many of the thoughts that we have sometimes about mental health is that African people can't have mental health challenges or mental health issues, or even if we think about, well, sometimes when we think about mental health, we think about the person that's on the street, right?
Yeah.
We don't think about us as people who have mental health and need to take care of our mental health. And so it's really important for a month like this that allows us to talk about what are some of the myths or the misconceptions or the things that are not true about mental health that we believe, so that people can get help. Because one thing that I think a lot of us do is we can mask how we're feeling. So we come to work, we go to church, we go to school, we go wherever we go, but we're covering how we're feeling inside. And that really creates a lot of struggle for people. A lot of people suffer in silence. Sometimes, you know, it could be that you're a new mom and you're going through postpartum, but you feel like you can't show it, right?
Yeah.
And so
because you're supposed to be this strong black woman,
exactly,
you know?
Exactly. And even the idea of being strong, like, you know, for me, myself, one of the things that I struggled with for a long time was that idea that I have to be strong, that I can't cry. But not realizing that that idea of strength doesn't let you get help. It doesn't let you get support. And you suffer as a result while you're supporting everybody around you. And so those are the reasons why Mental Health Awareness Month is important, because just as we would talk about things like cancer, we need to also be able to talk about what are the things that are bothering us or troubling us. You know, even I was in the lobby and the person that I met with, we were talking about financial struggles, right? Some of the biggest stress that people experience is a result of financial struggles. And
especially in Ghana.
Exactly.
Stressful. Hey, I tell you.
Exactly.
The price hikes and everything.
For sure. Managing it with family and it's very
frustrating.
difficult.
It's frustrating, honestly. So now that we've spoken about the importance of it, I want us to get into how does this help the society? How does this relate to the individuals in the society? How important is it for the people that are in the society?
Yes, it's very important because on one hand, it helps us be healthier in one way, right? That health is not just my physical body or the things that I eat, is also how I am able to present myself every day. And then the other way that it helps our society is that sometimes people want support, they want help, but they have nobody to reach out to. And so a month like this can help us better understand, how can I be a safe space for the people that are in my life, right? So for example, you know, one thing that I find when I do workshops is that, you know, people talk about sometime, let's say they were having struggles or they were feeling depressed and their parents just told them to pray or they would take them to, you know, the pastor. And although that in their own way, they were trying to help them, having this conversation lets us know that there's mental health therapists, there's social workers, there's psychologists, there's organizations, there's people that deliver things specifically for your mental health in order to support you. Because even if you think about it, right, if I said I was struggling with an illness, for example, you might pray for me, yes, but you would also ask me, have I been to the doctor yet? Right? And so we have to look at mental health as the same way, that it's not just that somebody did something to me and that's the reason why I'm feeling this way, but there's so many other factors that play into it.
Now that you've brought in the factors, let us move into the next step of the conversation and look at what are some mental health issues that we should be aware of, so that we're able to identify that, oh, this is a mental health issue, I need to seek help. How can I identify that these are mental health issues, and so let me see a therapist, let me see a psychologist, let me seek help? How can we identify them?
Yes, this is a very good question. Before I start identifying them, one of the things that I want to say is that sometimes, because we're so used to masking how we're feeling, we actually don't know that what we're experiencing is mental health challenges, right?
We create this facade,
exactly,
you know?
Exactly. And so some things for people to look out as signs is a loss of sleep, right? Always having hard time sleeping. Let's say you are somebody who's feeling very, very irritable all the time. You feel so annoyed. Something small can happen and you're always feeling irritable.
Hey,
you're thinking about somebody?
Take your time. I'm thinking about myself.
Okay. So, you know, other things is, you know, things like kind of having very challenging relationships. So let's say, for example, you're having a difficult relationship, or challenges maintaining your relationships, I should say. So let's say you typically you would want to be around your family or your friends, but now you want to remove yourself. You want to be isolated, right? Even if you are finding it hard to feel motivated, that can be a sign that you might actually be dealing with something like depression, right? That you feel demotivated. You don't feel like getting out of bed. You don't feel like doing anything. Anything that you used to enjoy doing is not really something that you're interested in.
Is that depression? Is that, what is that?
So depression comes with, several different criteria, and one of them is that you have this loss of sleep, you have this ongoing feeling of sadness, and also things like you don't feel motivated to get out of bed, but it has to be consistent for at least 2 weeks before it's considered.
Okay.
Exactly.
So if, for example, it's something that is happening in your house, maybe there's a disagreement in your house, and it's making you irritable, it's making you lose sleep, and it's making you, drive away from things that usually you would be excited to do. That is not depression. It is just because of the circumstances.
Well,
that what you're saying?
It could lead to depression, right? So having those things consistently happen can make you feel like, what's the point? Why should I be in Charlie? Let me just stay here, right? So those are some of the things to look out for. The other things are maybe different types of mental health challenges or disorders is when people, for example, have hallucinations, right? So they're seeing or hearing things that are not actually what everyone else can
all
see
the
and hear.
Lulu people.
Right? Like that is
wow.
also, in connection to a mental health disorder or challenge.
So if I'm naturally quick-tempered,
but you have to, so this is what I always tell people,
yeah.
right? One thing we have to think about is that what is the deeper reason behind the way I behave? So, for example, even anger is like a volcano emotion.
Yeah.
So it's the yelling, the screaming, maybe somebody is so angry that they start to cry.
Yeah.
But deep down, anytime we're angry, it's usually because there might be sadness. We might feel hurt. We might feel disappointed, right? Even sometimes when we lose loved ones, we might be masking how we're feeling in one way. But it's because we're grieving, right? And grief in itself comes with so many different feelings and emotions. And so something to ask ourselves is like, is there a deeper reason as to why I'm behaving this way?
I see. And so if somebody is encountering this situation, how does this month or this observation of Mental Health Awareness Month, how does it increase the person's chance of, seeking help, getting help? How?
Yes. Well, one thing is letting them know that they're not alone, right? Because sometimes we think that we are alone in what we're facing. Sometimes we think I just have to be able to struggle through whatever I'm encountering. And this month lets us people get help in many ways. So, for example, there's events that are happening in Accra. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, but there's, mental health therapists that are at these events that can talk about different ways for you to take care of yourself. Even if you think about something like social media, right? There are many mental health therapists that are in Ghana that provide free information that can be able to be helpful.
Therapists in Ghana? I think I've seen online only about one person, one therapist in Ghana.
Yes, I can maybe give some names and then that can help people. So Dr. Carol, for example, is one. She's always just talking about health and wellness.
And she's based in Ghana?
She's based in Ghana.
I see.
Madame Mental is another one. Hopeful and Como. So there's quite a bit of people who are bringing awareness to these things. And if you follow them, you'll be able to see different events that are happening in and around Accra. I will be having a workshop on Monday. It is a small fee, but if you contact me, we could potentially figure something out. It's called Ohima Healing, and it's going to be specifically for women to talk about how you can be more compassionate with yourself, because many of us have many hats. We could be sisters, mothers, wives, cousins, daughters, and sometimes, as you said, we feel like we have to be this strong woman. And so what does it look like to be compassionate and kind to yourself?
I see. That just reminds me of a book that I'm reading recently, Michelle Obama's book, in The Lights We Carry. And then she made mention of a friend's husband who wakes up in the morning, and then the first thing he says to himself is, "Hey, Bobby, today," saying nice things to himself before he steps out. It's not like an affirmation or anything. It's just being nice to yourself before you step out. But in a typical Ghanaian or African setting, if your wife or your husband is asleep or your mother is asleep and you stand in the mirror and you are like, "Hey, Mama," they'll think you are crazy.
Yes, they will.
They'll think you are mad.
Yes. It's true, but you know what? We have to think of the impact of it. And maybe if I put it like this, right? We have many thoughts in our head every single day, right? Many, many, many thoughts. I'm sure there's something you thought, you know, when you woke up, when you came here. And so we have to make sure that those thoughts help us, right? And so even if they don't, if they hear you practicing it, right? You're saying positive things about yourself. Talking about even in our families. So for example, one thing that I would always say to myself is, I'm so stupid if I made a small mistake. Why is that the way I'm talking to myself, right?
Whereas if somebody makes a mistake, you're like, oh, it's fine, you can try again.
Exactly. And so this person that you're mentioning, they're practicing what it means to be kind or gentle or affirming or positive to themselves as opposed to the opposite, right? Because if every time I do a small mistake, I'm thinking I'm a failure, how will that help me?
But in a typical society like Ghana, you know, seeking help for such a situation would mean that you have a problem, and if people hear about it, you know, we don't hear mental health or mental illness as something minor. Once you tell somebody you have a mental disorder, the only thing that comes to our mind is that you are mad, and you have to go to the psychiatric hospital for you to be injected or seized or quarantined or something like that. In this month that you are creating awareness, how can we change the narrative? How can we, you know, sort of, even not wash away this stigmatization or this stigma? How can we correct the narrative?
Yes. Very, very good question. I think, you know, going back to my last example about if somebody was struggling, we wouldn't just say we would pray for them. We would ask them or encourage them to go to the doctor. So we also have to think about how we can be better at supporting people who are experiencing things that we don't know a lot about, right? So, you know, one thing for you to think about is, okay, if somebody tells me that they are struggling or they're feeling depressed, how would I respond? And is the way I'm responding, is that going to make that person motivated to go even to see a doctor, right? Because sometimes the way our family or our friends respond will not make us want to even bother to go and get any help because we're thinking that we're going to be judged. So this month, I think one of the things that we can all challenge ourselves in thinking is about how can I hold my judgments and be a safe person, be somebody that is just a good listener for somebody who is going through something difficult. How can I come and understand or try to listen to somebody and go with them to get help, right? Maybe one thing that people can do is, if you know somebody that's struggling, you ask them, okay, hey, why don't I take you to this appointment so that the person will feel a little bit comfortable.
I see. So now that you've spoken about that, let's look at how our culture and how our society, because, you know, culture is the way of our lives, you know. So what role will the society and our culture play in, you know, like you said, holding back our judgment? I mean, I don't blame the people. It comes very natural to us because of how we've been raised. And so I don't really blame the people who are judging, because I don't think they even intend to hurt these people or this person, but it just comes to us. So what role would our culture and our society, you know, play in this?
Yes, well, I think it's two sides. Maybe I'll start this side from the more positive side, because I think it could be helpful. So I think Ghanaian culture has a lot of beauty in it when it comes to being family oriented, being supportive, even being social. And so if you think about it, one of the things that we actually say as therapists is one of the key ways for people to be well is that if they're connected to a community of people that are encouraging to them, right? Because that way, even when they are feeling challenges or isolation, they can feel a sense of support, they can feel grounded, they can feel connected to other people. So that is one way that our culture automatically helps to be able to support people when they're having mental health challenges. In terms of slowly beginning to challenge some of the traditions in culture, I think we have to think that there are many traditions that haven't been able to continue because we realize this thing is not helpful, right? Like, this thing is not helping people, it's not supporting them. So we have to think about what are the ways that we look at mental health as things that do not help people get support. One thing is saying, as soon as somebody says that I'm having a struggle, or you're mad, how is that going to help the person?
Or would even rubbish it or water it down. Our parents especially will say, F1 no casa, don't say that. Because, you know, they feel like whatever you say or affirm is what will come to you, you know. So they would water it down. They wouldn't look at the severity of what you're talking about. And so I don't know how this orientation.
It's like, we have to think about it maybe in the example of like a house, right? So if my house, the roof is off, and I just keep saying, just look at the structure. When the rain comes, it's going to hurt me, right?
Yeah.
So how can we look at, how am I creating a better foundation for my friends, for my family, to just talk about different things that they experience? Maybe we can start there. And instead of going to because that foundation will help us be able to have more conversations about mental health.
Yeah.
If my friends or my family don't feel comfortable in telling me small things that happen in their day-to-day, then surely when they're struggling, they
will
won't
not
call
share
me.
with you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I see. But you were saying, you made mention of the resources that are available in Ghana, and I'm finding it very difficult to, sort of relate or resonate with, because personally I have not seen any mental health clinic or facility in Ghana. I don't know if you know of any, and if you can assist the people who are watching, if they want to get help and they want to seek help, so that they go to the right places and not go to a place that will exacerbate their problem. Do you know of any resource centers, any places that they can seek mental health?
Yes. So one that I know off the my head, because I just saw it recently, is that the Mental Health Authority of Ghana, they recently created a helpline. And so people can call into that helpline. Unfortunately, I don't have the number, but we can find a way to provide
I'll check it. I'll check it while we have the show.
Yes, and through that helpline, people can talk to somebody over the phone, and through that, they can also maybe be able to look at some of the resources that are closer to them. Of course, Ghana still is on its way to improving mental health services. The other recommendation I would make is hospitals, and of course, not every hospital, but if you go to certain hospitals, they likely will have some sort of psychiatric services or mental health supports. And even if you don't need
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Yes. But even if you don't need to be hospitalized, for example, this goes back to what I was saying about family and friends, right? So let's say somebody in your family is struggling. One of the things you can help do is go and look for the number for them, or go and reach out to so-and-so. I know so-and-so that works in the hospital. Let me ask them if they know anything about how to access mental health services, right? Because some of the things that I think is the biggest challenge is information, right? Where to go, how to go and look for it. Does it cost money? And so maybe that's one of the key takeaways for people that are listening today, is that maybe one of the things that people can do is just reach out and think about what are the services that might be in my area. Start off by calling this mental health authority line, and then kind of go from there.
But one thing too that I've realized in Ghana is that, or in Africa, is that we don't really have the resources in terms of finance.
Yes.
Probably this person has a problem. He or she wants to go and seek help.
Yes.
He doesn't want to go to an unauthorized place.
Of course.
But the problem is that the person doesn't have, the financial support.
Yes.
The family will not be able to accommodate or, fund this person to go and seek the help that is needed. And so are there any self-help, activities, or are there any self-care things that people can do, in the meantime or in interim, while they prepare themselves to, get the funds to go and seek the help that they need? Are there any tips that they can do to help themselves?
Yes, for sure. Well, one thing I say is that self-care doesn't always have to be something that costs money, right? And so, for example, exercise is the natural remedy for most health issues, and mental health is no exception. Right? Because and the reason
exercise.
why exercise it allows us to release something called endorphins. We're able to release chemicals that actually normally regulate our mood, and so exercise is one of them. It doesn't have to be like you're doing 30 minutes
I see people say this, and I'm like, Lord, I'm joking.
No. It can be literally taking a 30-minute walk. That can be exercise, right? Another thing is journaling. And so everybody doesn't always feel comfortable with journaling. So you can do written journaling, but I do something called audio journaling, whereas I know, once again, going back to your idea of like, if somebody saw me doing this, they'll probably think, is this girl okay? But I basically...
No, in Canada, nobody would even bother. But in Ghana, if you tell somebody that, oh, you write your feelings.
Yes.
Like if you are in a group of friends and you say that, oh, I wrote my feelings.
Of course.
Like the way we laugh at you when tease you, make you feel bad about yourself and all. Yeah.
Of course. But audio journaling could be something that's helpful too, because it makes you, you know, sometimes when you're angry and you call somebody and they didn't do anything but they just listened to you.
Yeah.
It feels helpful.
Yeah.
The same exact thing. Again, being in connection with your family and friends and just doing the things that bring you joy. For me, one of the things I love is going to the water and just being able to sit there. That can be so calming. So going out in the beautiful nature that we have in this country, it can also be something that can help regulate your mood and how you're feeling.
I see. Probably we are sisters because I love going to the beach when I'm stressed out.
Me stress, no stress. Sit me on the beach and I could be there all day.
Yes. Because if I look at the waves, if I look at how they roar mightily, but when they get to a certain line, it's like their power is gone. They just diminish. They just become so calm. I feel like whatever I'm going through has risen or is roaring just like the wave. And so when it gets to a time, it will, you know, subside. It will just come down. That's my idea.
No, it's beautiful.
That is my idea.
There's so much to learn. You sounded like a poet. But there's so much to learn from nature. And again, nature lets us slow down. If you think about the busyness that we have, if you think about all the responsibilities that we have, sometimes being in a place that is calming and quiet can allow us to just calm our minds.
Yeah. You should try it. And I've seen a number of you who are watching on Facebook. Power Amma is watching. Max Moore is watching. And Chris Fien is also watching. Okay, so you see today I'm reading. So if you leave your comments, be sure that I'll read them for you. But there's something that you've repeated over and over, that there are myths. There are myths about mental health. Let's get into that. What do you mean by that?
Yes, there's things that are just not true about mental health. So
like
honestly,
what?
You know what? How about this? Because I feel like one of the things that... So why don't you tell me some of the things that you grew up listening to or hearing about mental health?
Growing up, to be very honest, growing up, we didn't hear anything.
Okay.
We grew, and then now that we've become adults, it's now that we are hearing about, you know, mental health, and that some part of it is depression, some part of it is stress, some part of it, you know, just the basics. And then people who have mental health disorders, like somebody who is suffering from bipolar disorder, and then how people don't even believe that this person has bipolar disorder. The family of the people who have this challenge, they don't believe. They say that their child is pretending.
Yes. So that, for example, is a myth. Why would somebody pretend to be having those types of, you know, big waves of their emotions, right? Nobody would do that. Another thing that I think... Because
they think their child is a spoiled child or
spoiled, lazy, right? That people that have mental health challenges are lazy. But even the idea that, you know, here you didn't grow up hearing even...
Nothing at all.
That in itself. So that adds to the idea that African people can't have mental health challenges or can't have mental health illnesses. And I think one of the things that is here is that oftentimes our families can, you know, embrace us, and so that we don't end up being homeless, for example. And that is part of the challenge, right? So sometimes when we see people living on the streets having a mental health issue, like that is proof that, of course, people can have mental health illnesses. It can also happen in our own families. The difference is that maybe our family has resources, or maybe they've protected us, or they've gotten us some sort of support to kind of help move away from some of the challenges that exist. Because the reality is that for example, I think it's 25% of people that are living on the continent have some sort of mental health challenge or illness that we know of, right? And of course, that's underreported because people, again, don't talk about mental health.
I see. Because one thing, too, that I've realized is that because ours is not very... should I say blown out of proportion? For example, if you see a madman, somebody who is mentally challenged, who is living on the streets, who is probably half dressed or eating from the bin or something that you would not ordinarily do, that is very evident that this person has a challenge. But if you see me, my face is beat in my beautiful outfit, sitting here, it's very difficult for you to, you know, diagnose me of any mental health challenge. Because as a child growing up, I never saw my mom cry. I never saw... She was unfazed, you know. She was just this strong woman, this pillar. But now that I'm in her position, I'm like...
How did you do this?
Of course, our mind is different. different from
Yes.
life because there are a lot of challenges.
For sure.
You know, handling kids, it is, oh my goodness, the challenges,
Yes.
we can't speak about everything, but it is there.
Yes, yes.
But we don't have enough conversations about them.
Yes, and even if you think about mothers, right? So many of us watched our mothers, whether you had 3, 5, 10, they as you said, they didn't cry, they didn't show that I'm struggling. And
Yeah.
so as we get on later on in life, we're looking around like, how was she able to do all of these things and I have all of these resources and I
Yeah.
can't do the same?
Yeah.
You know, one other thing I want to bring about in connection to this conversation is we don't talk about this enough, but addiction. We sometimes will say, oh, uncle, he drinks too much. But alcoholism is also a part of mental health.
Really?
Yes, yes, because it's actually considered a disease because the person, it's such a combination of things, but essentially the person, despite the consequences, can't stop, right? And the person becomes addicted to the substance that they're using, and even gambling. Gambling is an addiction, right?
Yes. When you said addiction, my mind just went to something else because it could not be alcohol, it could not be smoking or something like that. It could be some other thing. Probably
Yes.
somebody is addicted. Should I?
Shopping, you know? We sometimes use it as a distraction.
Yeah, yourself, right?
I'm sure.
Because I'm addicted to tea.
Okay.
Every day.
Okay.
It's an everyday thing. I have to take it every single day. There's
Okay.
no single day in my life that I don't take it.
Okay.
It's an addiction. I don't know, is that bad?
So the only thing
Probably I
is,
take it twice or more in a
it's
day.
okay, but you have to think, what harm is it doing that you're drinking tea? If I'm
Okay.
gambling and I don't have anything and I'm lying and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, there's a consequence of that.
Okay.
If I'm drinking so much where I black out and I don't remember anything that's going on, there's a consequence to that. So the difference between, you know, having a tea addiction or like drinking
shopping
tea,
addiction.
exactly,
Yeah,
is
yeah.
thinking about the consequence behind it. Like, what is the consequence of me doing this in the ways that I'm doing? And the
Okay.
other piece about it is that I cannot stop. So, you know, if somebody is addicted to, let's say, alcohol, you can tell them, oh, please don't drink today or don't, but there's a likely chance they still might do it.
go there. Okay, so Power Amma says that please ask her to talk more about the stages she was saying, from depression to the level that one can say one is suffering from bipolar. Do you get his question?
I think so. I think he wants me to break down the different types of mental health illnesses.
And if there are stages too.
Yeah, so for example, with depression, there's mild depression, which is the starting point of 2 weeks,
Okay.
right? That for 2 consistent
that is
weeks.
mild.
Yes.
See?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
for 2 consistent weeks,
Yeah.
things like the sadness, hopelessness, finding it hard to get out of bed,
Yeah.
you know, sleep challenges, those types of things for 2 consistent weeks, then you can be on the mild side of depression.
Yeah.
And then there's moderate and then longer term depression,
okay.
where people can be experiencing it for a year, 2 years, you know, quite long periods of time.
Wow, to be in depressive states for a year.
Yeah, and the other thing to think about is that when you have certain mental health issues, part of the challenge is that it rewires your brain. So, for example, clients that are very, very depressed, you know, they'll find it hard or difficult to be able to even highlight one good thing in their life, although it's happening. And so, you know, there's quite a bit of work. And sometimes this is why, again, this month is important, because
Yeah.
some people, they can, you know, do therapy, they can do some of the exercises or the, you know, going to the beach and the self-care practices that we talked about,
Yeah.
and they will be able to be better,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
there's some people that might require some sort of medication to pair with therapy and their self-care activities and all of these things for them to be better. So every person requires different things.
So now, since you are a therapist, let's talk about your role. What role does therapy play in, you know, mental health awareness and mental health itself?
Yes. So therapy plays a major role, if I'm okay to say that
You
myself.
should. Go, shine.
You know, I
Yeah.
think one of the things that we do is that we help people see the full pieces, right? Sometimes when you're in something, you feel like I'm the person to blame. I am the reason as to why nothing is going right.
Yeah.
But I think what therapists offer people the ability to do is to look at their life, look at their experiences,
Yeah.
and then give them practical tools on how to deal with certain things, right? So, for example, after after almost every session, I give people something I call growth work, which is, you know, 1 or 2 things for them to practice to help their mental health. One of the things that I say is that at the end of the day, I see people for an hour, but you are in your community, you're with your family, so you have to be doing things in between. And I think that's one of the major things that we do, is that we have the educational experience and background, and then we're giving you things that you can do every single day to take care of yourself.
I see. You spoke about an event that you will do on Monday. Let's talk briefly about that, then I'll ask my final question. We have about 5 minutes to wrap up. So let's talk about your event on Monday. What is it about?
Yes. So, of course, you know, I love women. I love being able to have these spaces to create supportive spaces for women, because, as you said, there's so much that we're carrying sometimes. And so through this event called Ohima Healing, what we're going to be able to do is talk about what our experiences are, not only just the challenges, but what are some of the beauties that we have, right? What are some of the ways that we're already taking care of ourselves? And then we're slowly going to start to talk about compassion. You know, as you said earlier, if somebody was looking in the mirror and saying all of these beautiful things to themselves, their family will look at them some way. And sometimes, although we might have grown up with love in our households, our parents or our families didn't always speak to us in a way that would be able to help us in a lot of times. And so, you know, this workshop will let us talk about what are the ways for you to kind of reframe and change how you think about certain scenarios. So I'm trying to think of an example. One thing that I think a lot of people feel like they need to do is they always feel like they're behind in life.
Yes.
Right?
It's like everybody is moving forward and you are stuck in this place. And you are doing your best, but it's like nothing is improving, nothing is changing.
Exactly. And so we'll talk about, like, how can you begin to look at your life from the things that you're doing right, the things that are going well. How can you look at your life from a place of being compassionate and kind to yourself, so that you're not minimizing that you could have been doing 10 things, but because one thing isn't happening yet, doesn't mean you're a failure.
Okay, so is this event free? Is it can we call a number? Do we need to get a ticket? How is it?
Yeah, so it's being held at the Lala Foundation, which is in Sun City Apartments. There's a fee of 100 cedis, but again, if you contact me, I will be able to. We're actually going to be doing a free giveaway for at least one young woman, so people can feel free to contact me, or you can go on the Instagram for Lala Foundation, and all of the information will be there.
Can you put out a number if
yes, please. I just have to look on my phone. I don't have it memorized.
Okay, do you have your phone?
I have it.
No problem. So let me take a quick break. When I come back, then she can give the number out to you guys, because I want you to be at this event. Your mental health is very important to me. Stay.
Accra living no be easy. Temptation she can fuck up easy.
I need to see this girl.
See, make I tell you, we gonna make a move.
This is the detail of everything we discussed in the conference room of that hotel. There were 12 people, including myself and Casey, discussing the way forward of my career.
Less than 2 hours that you sent your messenger into my office to strike a child's deal. My artist is dead.
Someone else killed Tamara. Is this some sort of a joke?
We'll need this place on total lockdown until investigations are carried out.
Sir, it has not reached that level. The murder happened here, and so we would come here 1,000 times if the need be.
You're an absolute waste of time.
I applied the approach you insisted, sir.
I'm your special aid, Mom. Mommy deem you a VIP. That's why we made this space comfortable enough for you, Mr. Mar.
So this is the bitch trying to take my place, huh?
Watch your tongue, girl.
You watch your wayward hot dog, honey.
Stupid. Just stupid.
So you are not only stupid, you are blind as well.
At least I didn't even knock you guys down.
Open the bar!
Tamara.
He's so hot with his temper.
Hey, my friend!
Have you ever
Okay, so and Amma, you can give the number out so that people can, you know, call and be able to make reservations.
For sure. So the number is 055-080-2271, and the name again is Lala Foundation.
Okay, take the number again.
So 055-080-2271, and it will be located at Sun City Apartments in the Lala Foundation. Downstairs.
Unfortunately, we couldn't, you know, exhaust all our questions, but if there are people who are watching you, people who are struggling with their mental health, what would be your final words to them? Because this is Youth Empowerment Television Show.
Yes.
We are here to empower them, especially the youth.
Yes.
In just about 30 seconds.
For sure. Well, one, just because you're young doesn't mean that you can't be experiencing challenges. The most important thing is to get help. And, you know, one of the things that you said is that people will laugh at you or say certain things. But the point is that there is help, there is support, and you deserve to be able to get those things. And so reaching out, again, the Mental Health Authority, the helpline, but knowing that those issues and challenges that you're experiencing today will not last forever.
Okay, thank you so much, Amma, for
Thank
coming.
you.
I've loved this conversation. Like you said, it's been organic. I hope our viewers have felt the same have felt on the show today. And if you're watching and you're struggling with anything, know that everybody is carrying a cross of their own. And listen, you would be well. It is well, okay? There's joy in your soul. I know it. I see it in you. Meet again. Bye.
Love, logic has no.
Accra living, no be easy. Temptation she can fuck up easy.
I need to see this girl.
See, make I tell you, we go make a move.
This is the detail of everything we discussed in the conference room of that hotel. There were 12 people, including myself and Casey, discussing the way forward of my career.
Less than 2 hours that you sent your messenger into my office to strike a child's deal. My artist is dead.
Someone else killed Tamara.
Is this some sort of a joke? We'll need this place on total lockdown until investigations are carried out.
Sir, it has not reached that level. The murder happened here, and so we would come here 1,000 times if the need be.
You're absolute waste of time. I applied the approach you insisted, say.
I'm your special aid, Mom. Mommy deem you a VIP. That's why we made this space comfortable enough for you, Mr. Mark.
So this is the bitch trying to take my place, huh?
Watch your tongue, girl.
You watch your wayward hot dog, honey.
Stupid. Just stupid.
So you are not only stupid, you are blind as well.
At least I didn't even knock you guys down. Tamara.
He's so hot with his temper.
Hey, my friend! Only veranda also Benyaji.
Have you ever fallen in love before? When you fall in love, logic has no place in your conscience.
Love ends where it begins.
Truly African.